Namaste and greetings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I'm Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founding minister and spiritual director. If you ever have questions about who I am, who we are, what we do, what is Spiritually Integrated Arts, what is a teaching center, what is Centers for Spiritual Living, what is metaphysical spirituality, what is New Thought, Science of Mind and Spirit, how do I become a member? How can I support, tithe, and donate? All of these questions and so many more. Send an email. You have two options. SIAADMIN, Spiritually Integrated Arts, admin at spirituallyintegratederarts.org, or spirituallyintegratederarts@gmail.com. Either of those will work. You can also visit our website, www.spirituallyintegratederarts.org. Now, you may be wondering, where else can I find and follow? There are several other social media platforms that you can also subscribe and follow. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel, where you can also find all of our Sunday messages and more. I look forward to hearing from you soon. I look forward to you being a part of this beloved community. Because we are a virtual community, it doesn't matter where in the world you are. This can also be your spiritual community, because you can have more than one. Anywhere that you feel supported, anywhere you are spiritually fed is home, is community, is relationship. So I look forward to dialoguing more, conversing more, getting to know you. Much love and appreciation. Live long and prosper. Chat with you soon. Take care. Namaste and greetings. Do not forget, June 25th is our gathering on Zoom after the Sunday message for our time of fellowship, conversation, camaraderie, getting to meet folks. If you do not already have the link to join the fellowship hall, send an email to either of the emails listed below, and the link will be sent to you. Now, it's important to keep these two email addresses, because they will also be the email addresses that you use to join either the Wednesday night Science of Mind and Spirit discussion group or the Thursday night study group. The Wednesday night Science of Mind and Spirit discussion group is from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a gathering of people who discuss what is religious science or science of mind and spirit. How do we practice it? How do we live it? As Dr. Holmes encouraged during his Sermon by the Sea at Asilomar. The Thursday night gathering, currently 7:30 to 8:30. However, that time will change on July 6th. Also, 7 to 8:30 will be the new time. This group discusses the questions that I give at the end of every Sunday message. Now, if this is your first time, then you'll see what questions I'm referring to. If you've been with me for any length of time, then you know that after the message, after the affirmation declaration, there's a series of questions that you can either do on your own as spiritual practice, or you can gather in community on Thursday night and discuss and share and grow together. The Wednesday night gathering is facilitated by myself, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, and the Thursday night group is facilitated by Miss Tracy Rhymes. Now, if we are ready, continuing with the theme of the month, embracing self-care. Today specifically, we are talking about pleasure. Pleasure is a pleasant feeling or emotion of contentment felt deep within because of an event that somehow builds quote unquote positive feelings. It is the opposite of grief and sadness. A wave of calmness washes over the body when it is felt, keeping the body and mind in a peaceful state. Pleasure is imperative in every self care process because it is the summarized feeling of self care. Every act of self care aims to improve the emotions and feelings that you experience. And pleasure, happiness, a sense of divine contentment is the overall aim. In the end, caring for oneself includes giving the body, giving the mind, giving the emotions, giving the spirit a sense of pleasure and self care. So, that being the case, yeah, we're probably going to hit some buttons today. But we first have to start off with, well, what is pleasure? How is pleasure defined? Pleasure is defined as a feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment. So one could feel pleasure eating popcorn, happy satisfaction and enjoyment. Tracy loves popcorn. You can tell by the look on her face when she's eating it. She's pleasing herself. You can tell. When Ray is eating a bowl of ice cream, yeah, you get the idea. Synonyms for this idea of pleasure: happiness, delight, joy, rapture, ooh, glee, satisfaction. I'm going to back up for a second. Rapture. In a Christian connotation, rapture is the second coming of Christ, when Christ comes and snatches everybody up into heaven. So, pleasure is this being snatched up into this heavenly bliss. Just want to put that out there. Glee, satisfaction, gratification, to gratify oneself, a sense of fulfillment and amusement. Okay, so we're good on this because I want all of these words to be marinating through your mind as we talk about this idea of what does it mean to have pleasure in your life? What does it mean to bring pleasure into your life? What does it mean to live a pleasurable life? Because there's a very thin line between simply self care, simply bringing pleasure, and becoming addicted to the pleasure. Now, chemically, pleasure is said to release dopamine, which makes it addictive. It is a more of a short-term thing. It's very visceral. It's non-life affirming. When it's taken to that far side, it's not life affirming, or they're non-life affirming pleasures, and it can very easily lead to addiction. Right? Someone who becomes a sexaholic, they're addicted to the gratification that comes with sex. To a certain degree, the workaholic, right? Like we could put that aholic to anything. The cosplay aholic, the comic book aholic, the movie theater goer aholic, the Christianity aholic. We could, like, you get it, because anything that you are deeply wrapped into this idea of that felt good, this feels good, I don't want this to end. And so you do whatever you can to try to make it last, but it's not supposed to. More on that later. Whereas pleasure that is more happiness oriented is said to release serotonin, which is non addictive, it is more long term, it's more ethereal, it's more based on giving and sharing, where the other one is based on taking. I want to take this from, versus giving and sharing. It gives you a feeling or sensation of this is enough, enoughness. Now, however, because there's always this balance. Too little happiness or too little serotonin typically leads one to depression. So finding the balance between life affirming pleasure and happiness, that's the goal. Breathe. Dr. Holmes says energy must find an outlet. We know this. We know it when it comes to the teapot. That's whistling. The boiling water, the steam, it must find an outlet. We know this when we put popcorn into the popcorn maker or into the hot oil, that the moisture in the kernel must find an outlet. It must expand. So it explodes and becomes, instead of the hard kernel, this puffy white delicacy that Tracy so loves. Energy must find an outlet. Water going through the hose, but if you crimp the hose and the water can no longer escape, what's going to happen? It's going to build up somewhere and it's going to create an outlet. But what about the energy within you? What about the energy of love within you? What about the energy of depression within you? What about the energy of frustration within you? What is the outlet? What do you do to ensure that the energy is flowing, always moving, rather than being stuck and stagnant? Energy must have an outlet. Adrienne Marie Brown says, there is no way to repress pleasure and expect liberation, satisfaction, or joy. You can't repress this. You can't suppress this and somehow expect liberation, satisfaction, and joy to occur. It's not possible. You can't suppress or deny who you truly are as a divine incarnation of God and expect to live your best life out loud, boldly, joyfully. You can't. You're denying your essence. You're denying the truth about yourself. So you can't. It's the same as, and we do our best because it's not always safe to come out of the closet. But the LGBTQ person that, for safety reasons, such as what's going on in Uganda right now, for safety reasons where being LGBTQ could result in the death penalty, for safety reasons, it is best to stay closeted. And yet, for as long as that person is forced to repress pleasure, they cannot expect also to receive, to live liberation, satisfaction, and joy. All the more reason why we, who understand our privilege, wherever it is that we are, have something to do regarding helping others who currently are being repressed. You cannot live your best life by denying your best self. You cannot live the life of the divine while denying or repressing your divinity. Liberation, satisfaction, and joy will not be yours if you repress or suppress your truth. Dr. Holmes says, anyone wishing to develop a pleasant personality must first become pleasant and think comforting thoughts. Ready for the remix? Anyone wishing to develop a pleasant personality must first become pleasant in their mental equivalent. It's not just your thinking. Be pleasant in your thinking, be pleasant in your words, be pleasant in your emotions, be pleasant in your actions. Be it. And your personality will be it. It'll be a resonant match. So don't just think it, because you can be thinking happy thoughts all you want. You can say all the affirmations you want. Think about the number of Christians who on a regular basis, yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. They sing. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the little bitty baby. He's got the whole. They sing all these songs about love and unity on Sunday. And then, real quick, we'll turn around and say some of the most abhorrent, vile things to LGBTQ people, to anyone who they deem as woke. Some of the things that Pat Robertson, who recently made his transition, some of the things he said were extremely, extremely vile. And yet he's a Christian, one who supposedly follows the lessons and the teaching of the way of life of Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, who said, love thy neighbor as yourself. Love God with your entire being. Be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Be it. By your faith, you are made whole and have made them whole. Breathe, because we have to get off this false notion of twiddling our metaphysical thumbs and not taking accountability and responsibility for what is ours to do to be of good, beneficial presence to the world. Slight sidebar. Who inspires happiness in you? Can you bring to mind right now 3 people that as soon as you think of them and the fun you have with them, current people, not people in the past who are like, yeah, when I was 10, but if that person's not in your life right now or something happened, whatever, like think of people who are currently in your life that just hearing their voice makes you smile, or just thinking about them brings joy into. Who inspires happiness in you? And then what is it about them that does this? Because it's not really them, it's you. You have to have the happiness within you. And what they are doing is bringing their energy to. Energy must have an outlet. They are bringing something to you, calling that energy forth. Come on, come on, shine. Come on, sing. Come on, dance. That's what they're doing. But it's in you. So who does that for you? What does that for you? So going to the movie isn't a who, it's a what. And going to the movies does that for me. Going to see a play, theater, does that for me. You know, books do that for me. Some books, not all books, some books do that for me. What does that for you? A nice warm cup of tea or coffee or cafe latte mate mocha cappuccino, frappuccino, frappa mocha latte. I don't know. But what does that for you currently? Is there a bike? Is there a car ride? Is there a park? Is there a particular someplace that you love to go because just being there in the vortex of the energy of that location? Because I love New York, New York. Like New York does that for me. Is there something? What does it for you? Because the goal is to bring more of the who and more of the what into your life consciously, purposefully. Dr. Holmes says, irritation, vexation is my boy, is not how he said it. Irritation, vexation, confusion. I have to read it that way because it says vexation, makes me think Shakespeare. Anyhow, irritation, vexation, and confusion go hand in hand to rob a people of their birthright to peace. comfort, and unity. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Ready for the remix? Chronic and unaddressed irritation, chronic and unaddressed vexation, chronic and unaddressed confusion can and normally will rob a person of their divine birthright, which is peace, comfort, and unity. That is why we are invited to use the irritation, the vexation, and the confusion as a signpost showing us, indicating to us that whatever this is, it needs to be addressed. Whatever this is, I need to bring principle to it. I need to bring a spiritual practice to it. I need to find a therapist. I need to call a friend. It needs to be addressed. Because if I repress it or suppress it, if I deny it without addressing it, it will become chronic. And contrary to popular belief, ignorance is not bliss. It's not. It is far better to know what is going on within your body, within your heart, within your mind, within your spirit, within your soul, within your entire being, so that you can live your best life. The more you know. Ding, ding, ding. Whatever. Tracy, how's the music go? No, she's upstairs watching. The more you know. Ding, ding, ding. You know what I'm talking about. It's more life affirming to know, so that you can address it, so that you can heal it, or be in the healing process of it. Excuse me. An amazing book, like amazing book, I think you should read. Go get it and read it this week. This brings pleasure to me. If you haven't read this book, if you're not familiar with the book, I highly recommend that you read it. It is life changing. Now, the author, whose name I shared with you earlier, she says, pleasure activism is the work we do to reclaim our whole, happy, and satisfiable selves from the impacts, delusions, and limitations of oppression and or supremacy. Well, hey, Adrian, say that again. Adrian, say it again. Pleasure activism is the work we do to reclaim our whole, happy, and satisfiable selves from the impacts, the delusions, and the limitations of oppression and or supremacy. Okay. Now, what does that have to do with us right now? It has to do with what I said before, that we cannot simply make this about I feel good. I feel pleasure. What's happening in Uganda is what's happening in Uganda. It has nothing to do with me. What's happening in Korea, what's happening in China, what's happening in any part of the world has nothing to do with me. I'm happy. I'm right here where I am. I'm good. I'm God, right here where I am. That's privilege. It's because you have the privilege to be able to enjoy that level of comfort, to be able to ignore other folks' oppression and how supremacy is harming them. That's privilege. Privilege is what gives you the opportunity. Actually, we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to hold that for a moment. Simply be mindful. So for the purpose of right now, Adrian goes on to say, your no makes way for your yes. Boundaries create the container within which your yes is authentic. See, sometimes we say yes, and it's not an authentic yes. It's a reluctant yes. It's a begrudging yes. It's an obligatory yes. It's not an authentic or real yes. Being able to say no makes yes a choice. Let your no be no and your yes be yes. Be firm. You don't try to do everything to please people. Say no. I would love to do that on Saturday. I would love to do that on Friday. I would love to do that on Wednesday. But because of what's going on right now, I have to say no. For example, yesterday, Saturday, I was supposed to be the host for on the New Thought Media Network for the chapter of the Science of Mind textbook on the law of attraction, and also to talk about Juneteenth. And Reverend Robert Brzezinski reached out to, Ray, hey, what's up? How's your health going? Do you feel like you would be able to continue and, do the host thing for Saturday? And my first initial was going to be, yes, I can do it. Because I said yes, right? Months ago, I said yes. And yet, I had to be honest, based on how I'm feeling, which right here, right now, based upon how I'm feeling, this is actually a challenge. Now, I made sure to take a nice, healthy, long nap and rest to build up the strength to be able to sit here to do this. But based upon my recent health challenge as of Tuesday the 13th, right? This, the antibiotic is helping, but this is challenging. So what I did was I told Reverend Robert, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. It wouldn't be wise for me to do it. He said, no worries. He's got it covered. Sometimes no is the most life affirming thing you can do for yourself. Sometimes no, when Mamie Till Mobley, when her son, Emmett Till, who was lynched, when his body was sent back to Chicago and the funeral director wanted to, fix him up, Mamie said no. Why? She declared a boundary. No, I want the world to see what they did to my son in Mississippi. No. Let your no be no and your yes be yes. Be very clear on the authenticity of your no and the authenticity of your yes. And going back to the idea of what brings pleasure, who brings pleasure, who makes you feel happy, what makes you feel happy. There are 92 simple pleasures that can upgrade your day, and they can be found on the website seen below, sustainablebliss.co.com, etc. And if you need me to send you the link, just email me. And we're not going to go through all of these, but simply recognizing that something as simple as cooking a meal, it's a simple pleasure. Listening to a podcast, sitting in the sun, stretching, cuddling with a loved one, simple acts of affection, sipping a warm drink, maybe talking to someone you like, someone you love on the phone, sending someone a letter, going for a drive, watching the sunrise or the sunset, all kinds of things that are simple pleasures that many of us deny ourselves. We are so busy being busy, being busy, being busy. We're doing and 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 we're doing till we're done. It's not living. So pause and step into the rich, blissful pool of pleasure. Not just dipping your toe in it, but step in, immerse yourself in whatever it is. Turn your phone off for 2 hours so that you can read a book if that's what you want to do. Tell a friend, can I hang out with you this afternoon? I would love to see you. See, we don't do many of these things because, well, what if they say no? What if they say no? They might be busy doing whatever. I mean, it could be anything. But what we do is we make their no personal. They told me no. They denied me. Stop making it always about you. Sometimes it is, but not always. Stop taking that. Come on, come on, come on. The agreements. Stop taking everything personally. Some things are, and you can try to depersonalize. That's fine. But some things are about us, about the things we did, and about us being held accountable. So, but when someone says no, they can't hang out. When someone says, Tracy during COVID, I don't even think now Tracy gives people outside of the house a hug. I think it's still an elbow. And some people, it's like COVID is over. You still doing the elbow? They take it personally, like, oh, that's just that's Tracy establishing a boundary that is for Tracy. It has nothing to do with you. That's her. It's her boundary. Respect it. Period. Moving on. Carl Horn says a cultural revolution against the notion that faster is always better. Microwave generation. Ding, 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 and it's done. The slow philosophy is not about doing everything at a snail's pace, but it is about seeking to do everything at the right, the most life affirming speed, savoring the time, savoring the hours and the minutes rather than just counting them down, counting them by, doing everything doing everything as well as possibly can be done instead of doing it as fast as possibly can be done. Take your time and enjoy your life. Simple as that. Take your time and enjoy your conversation with your beloved. Take your time and enjoy the time with your puppy. Take your time and enjoy the book you're reading. Take your time. And yes, I know you may binge watch and you want to get to that season finale because so many people were talking about the season finale on Twitter and you really want to get to the end and find out what happened at the very end. Enjoy being in season 2, episode 2. But I've got 3 more seasons. Take your time and enjoy the nuances of season 2, episode 2. When you take your time, you notice character development. You notice themes may change, which then by the time you get to the season finale, you haven't just gotten to the season finale, you understand how you got to the season finale. It makes a huge difference. Take your time and enjoy your life. Brene Brown reminds us, I don't have to chase extraordinary moments in order to find happiness. These extraordinary moments are right in front of me if I am paying attention, if I am practicing gratitude. Are you paying attention? Are you practicing gratitude? Because the extraordinary is ever present. The divine is ever present. Love, joy, bliss is ever present. But are we paying attention to be able to call it forth, to practice gratitude, to change what can be changed regarding oppression, suppression, supremacy, etc.? Now, in the same way that we asked, who inspires, well, who depresses or oppresses you? So, who inspires happiness in you? It's also important to know who depresses you, who oppresses you. When you are around them, you feel oppressed. You feel that the relationship is oppressive. You feel depressed by the conversation, by the energy of the conversation, the energy of the relationship, the energy of whatever it is. Who does that for you? Who calls that in? Same thing. What depresses you or oppresses you? Is it your job? Do you really feel great about your job? Or does it oppress you? Does your coursework, if you're in college, does it feel oppressive? Someone recently shared with me that they were working on getting their degree in as a counselor, as a therapist, psychotherapy, and that they had reached a point of, Ray, I am so tired of reading about all these old white male cisgender heterosexual white men who impacted and influenced the field of psychology. Where are the queer people like me? Where are these? They have to be that. Yeah, they do. But because of the way the system is set up, there are a lot of courses, a lot of textbooks, a lot of curricula that do not tell the full story. It's a one-sided story. So this person, their coursework, their classes, their degree program feels depressive, feels oppressive. So what does that for you? And in this whole process, as Max Ehrman says, be gentle with yourself. Simple as that. Be gentle with yourself. Wherever you are, be gentle with yourself. Whatever you're dealing with, be gentle with yourself. Whatever you're feeling, be gentle with yourself. Christian D. Larson says, promise yourself to think well of yourself and proclaim this fact to the world, not in loud words, but in great deeds. Promise yourself to think, mental equivalent, well of yourself and to proclaim this to the world, not in words, but in great deeds. Now, if we think back to what Adrienne said, then we see. Remember when I mentioned privilege before? Privilege gives you the ability. It's the same thing. It gave Mamie Till Mobley privilege, the safety of living in Chicago. She was existing in a certain level of privilege. And she said, I'm living in my apartment here. Everything's fine. What was going on with Black folks in Mississippi, I used to say that's their problem. It's not mine. That's privilege. In America, the United States of America, and we talk about other countries and it's privilege. It's privilege that gives us the ability to simply walk past a unhoused person and not even acknowledge that they're there. Now, yes, for some of us, it causes guilt and shame and a whole bunch of other things that we can't even, because Ray, if I look at them, then it reminds me how inept or incapable I am of helping them. They're going to ask me for money and I don't have money to give and I don't want to tell them no. Sometimes it is far more respectful to look them in the eye, to see them and simply say, I'm sorry, I don't have any money on me right now. Because at least you are seeing them. You are not denying their existence. Great deeds, not words. Great deeds, not words. Pleasure activism is the work we do to reclaim our. There is only one life, and that life is God. And that life is fill in the blank. And that life is my life now, and that life is your life now, and that life is the life of each of the unhoused people in these images right now. We do to reclaim our whole, happy, and satisfiable selves from the impacts, the delusions, and the limitations of oppression, a capitalistic system, and or supremacy, a capitalistic system that puts a very small percentage of the well-to-do wealthy, and then everybody else is scrambling to make ends meet. And for many people, missing one paycheck could be the difference between living in an apartment and now I'm on the street. What is ours to do about that? And this has nothing to do with politics. This is about human rights. Do we not, if we are going to say God is all there is, then, and I really don't want to hear that law of attraction nonsensical about, well, there's something in their consciousness that's metaphysical malpractice. To blame them for their circumstances is metaphysical malpractice. And even if we were going to go there, then I would then say, so if what's in their consciousness put them there, what's in your consciousness that is helping keep them there? If I OD on Oxycontin, I put it into my body, I put the cocaine in my body. I put the heroin in my body and passed out. I did that. And I'm rushed to the ER. Does the ER staff, do they look and they say, well, he did it to himself, has nothing to do with me, and walk away? No. So even if we went by the concept of they are creating it themselves by their own consciousness, then we have to flip the coin. What's on the other side of the coin? What are we doing consciousness wise to change, to help, to heal, to be a beneficial presence in the world? It's not a one-sided issue. And it doesn't matter what the system of oppression or supremacy is doing. What is ours to do regarding any of it? Tomorrow is this commemoration, the honoring of Juneteenth, where this whole group of folks were denied the awareness. Oh yeah, don't tell them they're free, but we're gonna milk this for as long as we can. What kind of sick, oppressive, supremacy ideology says that? Creates the container, the boundary, the barbed wire to keep someone a prisoner when there is absolutely no legal standing for it. Once again, there are places today where the same consciousness that denied these people their freedom, the same consciousness that even kidnapped these people in the first place, the same consciousness that attempted genocide for the indigenous peoples here on Turtle Island in the first place, that same consciousness is still present. What are we doing regarding it? Because as Fannie Lou Hamer says, no one's free, nobody's free until everybody's free. Nobody's free until everybody's free. One for all and all for one. If there's only one life and there's only one mind and there's only one, then what happens to, come on now, let's be real. Nobody can truly be free to live the truth of their divine being in a world where anybody is denied the freedom to live this divine truth as well. Nobody can truly be free to live the truth of their divine being. You cannot truly be free to live fully into your divine being if in this world someone else is being denied their right to live freely. Because you and them, you and they are connected. There is only one life, and that life is God. There's only one. And so if they are suffering, and there's only one mind, and their mind is the mind that is God, and in that mind there is suffering, and your mind is, you follow what I'm saying? So it benefits us to do the work of sacred activism to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to live into pleasure, to live into happiness, to live into self-care, true self-care. Trying to hold on to the pleasure is no different from any addict chasing the next high. It is easy for us to become addicted to feeling good. That's why we deny. Because see, the moment I look at the homeless person, I can't feel good anymore. The moment I address the number of LGBTQ people being hurt, harmed, killed, I can't feel good anymore. So it's easier for me to feel good in my safe little privileged bubble by ignoring. It is easy for us to become addicted to feeling good, especially when there is so much for which we can feel not so good. Orgasms are not meant to be maintained. Get the point? Because at some point, it's no longer what it's meant to be. The concert, the book, the stage play, whatever that is, whatever it is you are enjoying, it must eventually come to an end. That delicious meal that you are eating must eventually be completed so it can be digested, so it can be eliminated, so it can nourish your body, and then you do it again sometime later. But it must come to an end. The sunrise that we saw in our 92 simple acts of enjoying a sunrise. Well, the sunrise first, it's not yet there, it's not yet there, it's not yet there. Oh, now it's there. Oh, I love the sunrise. Well, it has risen. So now I've got to wait till the setting of. It's not meant to be like, hi, I'm going to just hang out here for the next 3 days. It's not meant to just linger. The true goal is to find a healthy balance with what feels good in ways that are life affirming. Finding the balance between the pleasure, the happiness, the rapture, the bliss, and the reality of life. Pleasure, the acronym. Purposeful living embraces all situations, undergoes righteous, righteous, the act of being rightly, life affirmingly, steeped in principle. Okay, that's what it means by righteous. Purposeful living embraces all situations and undergoes righteous evolution. So embrace it, transform it. This is alchemy. Embrace it, transform it, transcend it, transmute it, transmogrify it. Breathe and be who you are meant to be. And who are you meant to be? Exactly who you are, what you are. This week's affirmation declaration, I, as always, will say it first, then you can, if it resonates with you, say it with me on the second go round. I enjoy my life and I am in joy in my life. Together. I enjoy my life and I am in joy in my life. And so it is. This week's questions. Remember those questions I mentioned at the beginning? What pleasurable activities do you engage in daily? How is pleasure important in the act of self-care for you? How do you ensure that a self-care procedure is pleasing and not simply another thing to do on your to-do list? Can unpleasing and pleasing thoughts, feelings exist at the same time in my mind and my body? What can I do to install pleasure as a default setting to be experienced on autopilot? Remember that Brene Brown quote? See, when we have set up our lives in a way where we pay attention, where we are grateful, we don't have to go out and seek. They simply show up because we have already attuned ourselves through our practice that it is a default setting for it to show up. Number 6, read the following quote. We need racial honesty, learning to speak from our root systems about how we feel and what we want. Speak our needs and listen to others' needs. To say, I need to hear that you miss me. When you're high all the time, it's hard for me to feel your presence. I lied. The way you talk to that man made me feel unseen. Your jealousy makes me feel like an object and not a partner. The result of this kind of speech is that our lives begin to align with our longings, our desires, and our lives become a building block for authentic community and ultimately a society, a world that works for all, that is built around true need and real people, not fake news and bullshit norms. Care of Adrienne Marie Brown. Now, having read the quote, where in your life are you invited to invoke radical honesty? Where or with whom might you be scared or hesitant to invoke it, and why? And lastly, what is the connection between your self care, your radical honesty, and your pleasure? How are these three things connected? And then we close with prayer. Simply anchoring into this moment, this divine moment of infinite joy, the infinite presence of the divine that is everywhere, always. And it is in this place, in this moment, right here and right now, that we find the energy, the calling, the motivation, the conviction, the whatever it is that we need. We find within us that urging, that energy that is seeking to be expressed, that energy that is seeking an outlet. We allow it to rise up and burst forth, to burst forth as our divine mental equivalent, our thought, word, our feeling, and our action. We allow that energy to burst forth into how we show up, how we live radical honesty, how we live, move, and have our beingness as those who are blissful, as those who are balanced with pleasure and happiness, where we understand that grief and joy both can exist right here and right now, that it's not either or, it's both and that when we do so, we are actually loving ourselves more powerfully. We are not denying, we are addressing, we are facing, we are healing. We are allowing the divine truth of our being to be present rather than the lie of oppression and the lie of supremacy and the lie of colonization or whatever it is that may want us to deny in order to just feel good, just feel good, just feel good. In this moment, we feel good, but we feel good because we feel God. And we feel God because we are divine incarnations of God. So we don't feel good simply because of some external substance or some external thing. We feel it because we are it. And so committing right here and right now to be exactly that, knowing that the law says yes, to be exactly that. And the law says yes, to be that. And the law says yes. So this week we live as answered prayer, bliss, answered prayer, happiness, answered prayer, pleasure activism, answered prayer, being a 21st century New Thought Good Samaritan, answered prayer, creating, manifesting more of the energy to create a world that works for all. The law says yes. It's all ready, right here and right now. So I breathe, knowing that it is already answered prayer. I breathe with gratitude, knowing that everyone who is watching now or watching whenever this recording is playing for them in their homes or on their phones or on their computers or wherever that is, that space right here and right now is hallowed ground, not because I'm talking, not because they're watching this, but because they remember who and what they are. And in that remembering, they know I am good because I am God. I am great because I am that which is infinite greatness itself, incarnating as me. And my word creates. My mental equivalent creates. And so right now I align it with these words, and they are answered prayer. breathe. And so it is. Much love and appreciation. Namaste. I'm going to get back in bed.